Welcome to the Hookup on Music with your host, Tony Bird.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Hookup on Music, episode number 92. Last week, we had to take the week off because of some technical difficulties. Hopefully, we have no technical difficulties. The month of October has not been pretty for us for the reason of technical difficulties. If we happen to have any tonight, please, if my face gets frozen, just laugh because that's what I'm going to do. But my fingers are crossed. Everything's going to be great. But what wasn't great was on my way out of work today, sadly, I was stopped by a coworker and he asked me if I had heard the news. And I was unsure of what his news that he meant was. And the news that he shared with me was Phil Lesh passed away. Sadly, he has passed away at the age of 84, which you say to yourself, that is quite a life to have lived all the way till 84. Just for what's the word I'm looking for comparison's sake, you can go ahead and take a look at Mr. Jerry Garcia, who passed away at the age of 53. So he lived a good 30 years after Jerry, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. You know, when you really put it all together and you say to yourself, you know, you outlive a band member by 30 years, especially one as important as the great Jerry Garcia. You definitely got to say, hey, you know what? This was quite the life. Quite the life. But that being said, he had quite the career. Okay, being part of a band like the Grateful Dead for as long as he was, which if you're unfamiliar, 30 years is quite the career. He was with the Dead from the very, very beginning. Had an awesome side project in the Phil Lesh and Friends, part of lots of different stuff. In Further, he's performed with Bob Weir. Did those great shows that were at the Soldier Field that happened, not that long ago. I know it was like over 10 years ago. The Fare Thee Well concerts, which were actually really, really cool. 2015 was when those were, which is just about 10 years next year. Just always a part of the band, a big staple, really sad. And down the road, maybe we can get my main man, Brewhand Luke, on here, and we could dig a little bit deeper into Phil's career, because if you got a couple seconds or you got a lot of time, because some of these songs can stretch out to some long distance. Phil Lesh's Dark Star does a really, really great job on the bass. The other one, really good job. His bass work pretty much on anything. He wrote songs too and sang. The lead track on American Beauty, Box of Rain, which he wrote about his father passing away, and lent his vocals to that track, which he didn't lead his vocals to a lot of tracks. It's just very, very sad when you lose somebody who's just an awesome musician and was touring to the very, 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 very end. Sadly, you know, 2015, he also announced he had bladder cancer. So he made his way back from that and had been touring recently. He had a birthday, his 84th birthday party just in March of this year. So just really sad to lose somebody of his nature. So Phil, rest in peace. And we're definitely going to do a deeper look into a lot of your awesomeness into the future. This kind of just dropped before the show. So, you know, rest in peace, Phil. Also, if you are unaware, we've got some new releases and a lot of new goodies that are just itching to talk about with you, because it's been a couple weeks. Father John Misty. I know my main man Brian here in the comments, if he is listening, I know he loves Father John Misty. And his new album is one that is actually really, really, really going to be good and interesting, which is going to be coming out in November 22nd of this year. The tracks that I have heard off of this album, just there hasn't been a lot. but the tracks that I have been able to listen to, long songs. Okay, that is what this album is digging into. It's only got 8 tracks on it. It's 50 minutes. We'll dig a little bit more into it, but if you do have an opportunity, this track that I have listened to, go to YouTube and just check out. Well, first of all, you check out anything Father John Misty, but the new album, really, really good stuff. Really, for me, because I got to be honest with you, he's still somebody that I gotta dig really deep in. I'm familiar, but the new stuff I'm hearing, it sounds very, very again something different than maybe the last album, which is I love when artists expand their sound and try to branch out, and he seems to be an excellent source for that. Um, in another album that has been released recently, it's the Offspring Supercharged. And now, don't get me wrong, I like the Offspring. I like their first couple albums. Actually, I still have my Ixnay on the Ombre shirt around here. Huge fan of that album. Even Americana, pretty good. The music on this album, it's not bad for me personally. Now, you may still like the Offspring. You may think that they are awesome, and they are awesome. But sadly, sometimes kind of like Axl Rose, Dexter's voice just kind of sadly it isn't the same. And maybe because Bob Rock, if you're not familiar with who he is produced quite a few Metallica albums. He even produced Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood. He is behind the producer board on this, so there is a big, huge sound. And what I hear is the album would be really good if it was, unfortunately, if Dexter's voice sounded like it used to. But unfortunately, yes, we do get older. But that's why sometimes your music has to work to that. You may be a fan of Supercharged. It wasn't my most favorite listen this year. Probably won't even be in my top 20. But again, give them credit. I mean, we used to talk a lot about Noodles, the guitar player, just the name Noodles. But both of these guys have been putting out albums for quite a long time. And this is their 11th studio album. So much, really much respect to them, because honestly does not happen a lot to be able to have that kind of career. Wunderhorse, if you have not checked these guys out, I've talked about them. I think it was earlier in the year, or it was late last year. It was a while ago, but these guys are actually really, really awesome, and they definitely deserve your time to be digging through. One of their newest tracks, Silver, is catchy, especially if you like that awesome 90s alternative sound that maybe some of us long to hear again. Killer live show. They sell out every time they've come to town here in Chicago, which has only been a couple times, because Wunderhorse hails from the wonderful UK, Cornwall, UK, to be a little bit more exact. But just a really big, deep sound. They've released, honestly, if you listen to WXRT, they've released 5, 6, 7 songs, and every song I've heard by them, I've been impressed. Because honestly, it's hard to become impressed these days. But that being said, again, definitely worth checking into is Wunderhorse if you're looking for something a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking to say? Like I said, that 90s sound. It does sound new too. It's not like, oh, this sounds dated. Well, because I'm not gonna lie to you, back to which my main man said here, he never got into definitely much better than Blink-182, though. That is true. That is definitely true. But that being said, we're checking out if you get the time, or you are just looking to listen to something new. We're still on to brand new stuff. The Cure. Okay. You may be fans of this band. They got a new album out. Now, what I think is really cool, and I'm not going to steal this line because I heard somebody else say it recently. Robert Smith on this brand new Cure track that I'm about to play for you here in a second sounds honestly like an artist who has not aged one bit. And that's what's crazy, is because the Cure has been around since the late 70s. And here we got, The Cure sounding exactly like we want them to sound. Really, really good stuff. Excited for this new album when it comes out. Songs of the Lost World, November 1st. So right around the corner, and right around the corner next Friday. So maybe we could dig into it a little bit before we get on the air for our live show. Got a lot of huge things planned coming up in November. We are going to announce, we have guests, we have big shows planned. We're wrapping up October because, it's been an awesome month. We have had a lot of awesome stuff here going on here at the Sadistic Penguin Studios. A lot of stuff still to come. What I have been doing recently, which I have just honestly, it's been a blast. And I am shocked I've had as much fun as I have, because we only got actually 6 more days. But that has been the Hookup on Music Horror Tunes for Halloween countdown. Okay, we're through 25 days. And honestly, I think I could go on. I wish October was 17 months in a row, because I just could keep thinking every day of songs. I'm somebody who, like Phil Lesh and the Grateful Dead, I really like to go to the drawing board blank and then create. So like, I don't have a list of a bunch of songs I keep picking from. What I kind of do with this list and have done is kind of like what comes to me, maybe a conversation that I've struck, something that while I'm laying in bed, I have not had to stress about this. And that's what's awesome, is that you can kind of just think of some of these. And The Cure, who I just talked about, they were part of this countdown, which I picked their song Lullaby because there's some creepy spiders in it. But some of the other tracks that I have picked, if you go back and take a listen to, is one of my favorite personal Halloween songs, because it's not only awesome, but it's ridiculous, okay? I'm not saying it's not ridiculous, because I played it the other day for my wife, and she kind of laughed, and it's Typo Negative's Black Number One. Pete Steele sings the vocal line almost like he's a vampire, which is ironic because he uses terms like Nosferatu in it. But checking out these articles I put together, you get to see a little bit deeper into some of these songs. So please, if you get the opportunity, check that out. If you get the opportunity, today I spent after work with a coworker sitting there showing him my amazing At the Show podcast partners, amazing 31 Days of Horror videos he has been put together, which are amazing. This week he's had some really good ones. Have heard people say, I've never heard of this movie. I'm definitely going to check that out, which is exactly what we want. So please go back and check those out, and check us out here tonight too at 8:30 p.m., 8:30ish p.m. We will be on here, and we will be digging into some pretty creepy, underrated, awesome monster movies, which got some really cool stuff lined up. And we're going to be joined by the great Keelan, who's going to be talking about an amazing movie called House, which is really awesome. But when going through some of this stuff and going through the show and talking about Halloween, there's so much to get to for awesome Halloween stuff. Okay, I know not everybody might be into jam bands. That's okay. But one thing that is cool is when any band, know if they're jam band, rap band, country band, jazz band, whatever kind of band they are, they cover a track and they do a really good job on it. And for a long time, Fish would put on these Halloween shows where they would cover really amazing albums by like the Talking Heads. They did Remain in the Light, The Who, Quadrophenia. If you get an opportunity, go back and check some of these out, because if you are a fan of the Beatles' White Album, it's actually really cool to hear an actual band, because the Beatles never did it, play the whole entire thing live, because some of that stuff is really crazy to be played live. Revolution number nine. But check that out. That's definitely something awesome on the Halloween list if you get that opportunity to do that. Going back really quick to the list I've been putting together, digging into the Sonic Youth album, Bad Moon Rising. What a cool, awesome Halloween cover. A couple weeks ago, we were going through scary, awesome Halloween covers. We mentioned Iron Maiden having awesome Halloween covers, and what's really cool was that last night Iron Maiden played at I'm still going to be calling it the Rosemont Horizon, but sadly it is called the Allstate Arena. But they did a show last night, which is crazy because my main man, it was I'm trying to think. It was over a year ago. I think it might have been less than that when we went to go watch some hockey. I think it was less than no, it had to have been more, but whatever. We went to go saw some hockey. It was in December. We saw some hockey there, and I saw the big banner for Iron Maiden. But it was like in October, and I said to myself, "Wow, that's a long time away." But then guess what ended up happening? The concert happened yesterday, and they knocked it out of the ballpark. They played again 15 songs. When you're playing the Trooper and the Wasted Years to end your set, definitely awesome. Uh, Definitely cool is Iron Maiden still touring and doing cool things, which sadly, more sad news, which I didn't want to really thought this would be the only sad news I would be talking about. But the original Iron Maiden singer, Paul Diano, which if you're not familiar with who he is, because you only think Bruce Dickinson was the lead singer, he was in the band from 79 to he left after Killers in 81, which is really crazy because really he had a really cool voice to me. I think his voice was actually he was in the band in 78, but that being said, his voice was actually I thought was really cool. I don't think it would have fit with some of their later work, but really cool, but really sad that we lost him. So rest in peace, Paul Diano. Really cool lead singer. Check out those first two Iron Maiden albums, the self-titled album and the Killers album. The reason I brought that up is because they're doing a really cool tribute to him right now. So that's actually really awesome that on the fly they're honoring an old singer. If you're looking at the screen right now and you're looking at this live and you happen to be tuned in, this album cover here is Ministry, and this album cover is the album Filth Pig. To me, this is a super weird, scary, creepy kind of album cover because, well, number one, I had this T-shirt. Okay, so when the album came out, I bought the shirt and I wore it around. I wore it to high school. Um, to me, I would wear this shirt, and honestly, I would look and say to myself things like, well, this looks, what's the word I'm looking for? This looks like people are going to judge me for wearing this because there's a guy holding an American flag and there's meat on his head. And I look back to those old days and I just kind of laugh. That was just what the point of that was. But the point of talking about this album is that it is really awesome. If it has been a long time since you dug into this, it's another really good one. Filth Pig by Ministry. This is probably, honestly, everybody goes with a lot of their other albums. I understand. Psalm 69 is a great album. Okay. The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste is a great album. Twitch, great. All that good stuff. Okay. But for me, Filth Pig is really, really awesome. I like a lot of tracks. I think the first 4 tracks just really Reload, Filth Pig, Lava, which that's what that was right there, and Crumbs, which really kind of, if you're looking for, again, something heavy. They slow it down a bit than from their past album, but definitely really heavy, and the bass is really, really cool. Check this one out. It is definitely awesome. It is definitely worth your time. But again, coming back out in 1996 when it was released, it was not well received because it was a major shift for the band, which, again, as I said, because they were slowing things down, a lot of people weren't happy with that. But of course, Al Jurgensen, leader of the band, says, you know what? I'm going to do things my way. Paul Barker playing bass, really, really, really awesome bass on this album. Probably some of the greatest bass I've heard on a metal album, but that's another conversation. That I really just like this album a lot. Check it out. It's Filth Pig. Oingo Boingo, they're another band going back to Halloweenish type stuff. Always put on a great Halloween performance. Always was a really good Halloween show. To the point where I wish they would release some of these old Halloween performances because a band like Oingo Boingo, is to me a very, very awesome band who I've talked about before on here. But tonight we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction, and we're going to talk about one of their specific albums, which is where you're looking right now on the screen. Nothing to Fear came out 1 month and 2 days after I was born, June 22nd, 1982. If you're curious, looking to get me a birthday gift, May 20th, if you want to do the math there. But then again, this album is just really, really awesome. If you're a fan of Phil Lesh, I think you might be like this. If you're a fan of Ministry, I think you may like this. Very unorthodox range of instruments throughout this. Everything from loud guitars and percussions to really crazy sounding synthesizers. Just really, really good stuff. And if you can go back and check out even their music videos for this, you're not going to be disappointed, especially in a track like Private Life. This is my private life. This is my private life. This is my private life. Now, we may all know Danny Elfman because now he's moved on, which we've talked about on the show before, to be an amazing composer, great Halloween music. We can go on about all of that, which we've talked about. But on this album specifically, really brings an art to the table that when I first sat down to listen to this a couple years ago, was really, really blown away. Also is really awesome, which we like to talk about the underrated things, is Steve Bartek. When I lived in California, I know a lot of people like to talk about when they lived in California. I actually lived on the same block as Steve Bartek for just a little while. And Steve Bartek was, really, from what I think to be an amazing musician. So go back and check out some of his work on this album, especially. Just a great album all around. If you dig deeper into it, the lead track, Gray Matter, it's 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Again, a big jammer. Love the big jam songs, love the longer tracks. A lot of interesting sounds, especially if you got headphones, put it on really, really loud. If you've ever seen the movie 16 Candles, we know Oingo Boingo did Weird Science. We know they did Dead Man's Party, which we've talked about. But there's a track on this album. It's called Wild Sex in the Working Class. The guitars on this track just are really awesome, and it really rocks and kind of sounds like a lot of cool different things. Check that one out. Really awesome band all around is Oingo Boingo. And again, they don't make music anymore. I mean, we've unfortunately stated that Oingo Boingo stopped seizing as a band in 1995. Their last album even got rid of the Oingo, and it was just called Boingo, and they tried to be more serious. Danny Elfman still tours and does some of these Oingo Boingo songs, but overall, go back to this album I'm talking about. You're not going to be disappointed. I mean, that's the whole reason why I do. I don't want you to be disappointed. But again, we talked about it in the countdown. Oingo Boingo's Dead Man's Party. You got a chance and you've never seen. If you've never seen, please let me know if you've never personally ever seen the one and only great Back to School, because they have an amazing live performance in there. I'm sure you have seen it, but if you haven't, let me know, and let me know what you think of that performance, because it's a really, really awesome performance. Gonna move on a little bit here. Gonna try to we've tried to squish a bunch of things in here because sadly we've had to talk about some loss, and well, let's talk about some gain here. Let's talk about an amazing drummer. Let's talk about the one and only Bill Buford. King Crimson, yes. If you've ever listened to any one of those two bands and you're listening to some of their greatest work, I can just tell you right off the bat that Mr. Bill Buford is behind the drum kit, which is a good place for him, because I don't know if he could play any of the other instruments from doing research. But just an awesome drummer who can really, really play a lot of different things. He's even had his own bands, Bill Bruford's Earthworks, just Bruford, which was from 77 to 80, which actually is really, really awesome if you get an opportunity. Feels Good to Me is a really, really awesome, interesting album. It's him, Alan Holdsworth, Dave Stewart on keyboards. Just really, really cool little album there. But again, Bill Bruford on some really, really important albums all around. He was in Yes, like I stated, from 68 to 72. Was on that album Closer to the Edge, if you were curious if that was the album you were thinking of. Also, if you're looking on the screen, he was part of King Crimson, which they are now touring as Beat, coming to town this next month in November to the Horseshoe Casino with two of the four members of the King Crimson era he was a part of. But he will not be. Danny Carey from Tool will be taking his part, which that just shows you what kind of drummer Bill Bruford was. But overall, though, his drumming from Kent, England, okay, he does play jazz. He's got Earthworks was a jazz band. But Yes, obviously, is a prog band. So he is really, really, really well versed. Cites Max Roach, who is an amazing, amazing drummer. Art Blakely, Ginger Baker. All of that is put together into his work. But he's played with a lot of people. Brian Ferry, which is really kind of cool to see. Roxy Music leader, but all around great drummer that definitely needs to be talked about. Just like the Howlin' Wolf, who not the Howlin' Wolf, the main man, Howlin' Wolf, the gentleman who we've talked about before on this show. But I thought, you know what, we got to go back into some Howlin' Wolf because I just think his name is amazing for Halloween. And because honestly, he was born Chester Arthur Burnett, but when he decided to go as Howlin' Wolf, I think it might be one of the coolest name changes in all of music history, because if there isn't another name that screams Halloween, I mean, you may think it could be Smashing Pumpkins, it may be something else, but Howlin' Wolf, that just sounds awesome. And for just somebody who's just another great just a great just influential in so many different things. He recorded blues, rhythm and blues, even had some psychedelic stuff. Really, really, really awesome form of the Delta blues, the Electric Chicago blues, just a lot of really, really good stuff. But tonight, what I wanted to talk about was the London Howlin' Wolf sessions, which if you have not listened to this is from 71 on the Chess Records, which was also on Rolling Stones Records in Britain was what it was called. But if you have not checked this out, a really, really interesting record. Okay. What I liked is there was a rhythm section with Ian Stewart from the Stones, a pianist. He played with him. Bassist Bill Wyman from the Stones and Charlie Watts all came together as a kind of a backing to this whole entire session. But honestly, check this out. Side one, starting off with Rockin' Daddy. I mean, we miss Charlie Watts. This is definitely a good indication for you to dig a little bit more into Charlie and see a little bit more what he was doing outside of the Stones, because this is just straight up blues. But this is, you go classic. Willie Dixon's I Ain't Superstitious. Okay. You got Bill Wyman just doing cowbell. Okay. Just on cowbell. Steve Winwood on piano. Okay, he may be something, but Eric Clapton on lead guitar and Ringo Starr on drums and bass. Check this out. Check out a lot of things from Howlin' Wolf if you got the time. I mean, this is not this album here isn't what's the word I'm looking for? The only thing you should be listening to from Howlin' Wolf. I guarantee you, Phil Lesh and the Dead, they loved Howlin' Wolf. I guarantee Steve Ray Vaughan loves Howlin' Wolf. I guarantee everyone should love Howlin' Wolf if that is the case. Got some really awesome things, like I said, coming up here. Please stay tuned. Also stay tuned for tonight. Really excited for this at the show. I'm also very excited because it looks like we got about a minute or two left and there were no technical issues. I've been worried, like a very first date I've ever gone on. So I really am glad that that all worked out. just very thankful that you joined me tonight. That you continue to join us here. You continue to support the network. Please, 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 if you get an opportunity, go ahead and we are selling a shirt for somebody who is near and dear to our hearts. His name is Gordo, and we really have always appreciated his support for the Sadistic Penguin Studios network. And we have a shirt on sale, and the proceeds are going to him to help him in his journey and recovery from his heart surgery that he is going to be having coming up. So please, 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 we are going to be having banners and all of that coming up, and we're going to be talking about it more later on the show. Please, again, check out, like I said, Yumper's 31 Days of Horror. We only got about 6 more days left. My awesome articles I've been talking about on the sadisticpenguinstudios.com. Just keep supporting not only us, support everybody, support anything if they are super nice and kind, and just trying to spread the word of positivity, because that's what we're doing. These movies tonight are going to be great. Stay tuned. It looks like it's getting drafty in here. It's coming back this Tuesday with horror movie villains, which just sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear all about that. Really glad for everybody who's tuned in here tonight. Check out Brewhand Luke for his next college awesome breakdown. The Oregon Ducks are doing amazing. But everyone out there, take care. The Hookup on Music really appreciates you joining tonight. And don't worry, next week we will be back again. And stay tuned for some announcements and more cool stuff that we got coming up. Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Tony. This is the Hookup on Music. And have a good Halloween. We'll see you the day after.
Thank you for listening. Please look out for the audio version wherever you jam.